approaching midnight on Thursday night in D.C. I'm going on probably about 40 hours now with no sleep. Been quite a week. We have, in my opinion, failed the American people to produce a conservative package of bills that continue government funding through the end of the year and moved us into the Trump administration, the smooth transition, performing our constitutional duties on January 3rd and January 6th. It's going to be quite challenging if the government shut down. Our speaker, I don't know what he's going to do. He's left with not many options. The original plan failed. You know, that bill it got out of hand. It was poorly negotiated, I think, and there's no point in placing blame for that. The point is, it was a bad bill, and I wasn't going to support it. And, you know, we made that very clear that we were not going to support that bill, and that bill fell apart. And I can't say we, but I calmly advised the leadership to go back to the table, and they did. They did, and the president and his people were very involved in the negotiations at that point. About a couple of days into this week, and they produced a bill that was much better. Ma'am, good night, ma'am. Much better than the original bill, like drastically better. And it was good enough that I supported the bill. Many members of the Freedom Caucus supported the bill, by the way. 14 of us voted yes. But the bill couldn't make it because it had sufficient no votes out of the Republican Party and all no votes out of the Democrat Party that the bill failed. And now, man, this is not America. This is not some random Friday in August on a non-election year. This is the Friday before Christmas in an election year. How many people do you know that are about to be off starting tomorrow night? When they get off of work, they're not coming back to work till after New Year's. You know, that's common. And, people take their vacations and they have, it's the holiday season, right? It's a Christmas season. And so the necessary employees and staff that are required to pass legislation and get new legislation written and approved by Legislative Council. Good night to you, sir. If I don't see you, Merry Christmas. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There's a lot of moving parts to getting legislation done. So you might be thinking, well, write a new bill and fix what's wrong with it and get everybody on board or whatever. We have run out of clock here. And I'm not sure what the speaker is going to do, because I don't know what he can do with the defeat of this bill today. Now, there was one contingency plan, and I prepared it. It was in case this bill failed tonight, in order to have a good contingency plan and respond to the moment required to pass conservative legislation to keep the government open and take care of disaster recovery needs that are urgent, and take care of the extension of our farm bill, which is urgent, and to provide President Trump with his requested adjustment of the debt ceiling, which, keep in mind, raising the debt ceiling, there's no expenditure involved there. It's not an expense. It's like like having a credit card. If you have a $5,000 limit, you call the bank and say, listen, I'd like a $7,000 limit. That doesn't mean you spent $2,000 if they give you they raise that limit. It's just raising a debt limit. The president didn't want to have to fool with that, and I understand that strategy. He's a deal maker, and he needed the decks cleared, because we're coming in here. I'm telling you, we're reducing spending in the coming months of this coming year pretty drastically by hundreds of billions of dollars. So adjusting the debt ceiling was just a strategic move that the president requested, and so that he was holding all the cards in the deck. You understand, when he had to negotiate next year with the Democrats, to the extent that we'll have to. So I prepared myself, my staff, some Freedom Caucus staff. We prepared a super clean CR, the most conservative CR that's ever been written, and into March the 14th. It was 22 pages long. We had one additional page in the bill giving the president a $1.7 trillion debt ceiling raise. That $1.7 trillion debt ceiling raise was balanced by the pay-go section of my bill, the bill that I presented to my colleagues tonight. And they rejected, but the pay-go section had a value of $1.7 trillion. So that covered the debt ceiling adjustment, although there's no true expense to the debt ceiling adjustment. But from a conservative perspective, our core principles call for fiscal responsibility, and this was a very, very responsible, clean CR. So that bill would have moved through rules quickly tomorrow if it was supported by every Republican. And the companion bill to that would have been another bill that uses the exact language of the disaster recovery and the farm bill extension and the agricultural assistance, that language from the bill today that was defeated. I supported it, but it was defeated. So we were going to use that exact language for a companion bill to go through rules with my super clean conservative CR with the $1.7 trillion debt ceiling adjustment, matched and balanced by a $1.7 trillion, I said million, I meant trillion, $1.7 trillion debt ceiling adjustment with balanced by a $1.7 trillion pay-go. But it was rejected by my colleagues. So we have the bills. We have the mechanisms to move forward, but we've run out of clock. You see, we have tomorrow morning, that's it, that Legislative Council is going to be working. Good night, sir. And you can't it's fantasy to think that you can plan a bill from scratch and scribble it on a cocktail napkin on a Thursday night and then vote on it on Friday. That's fantasy. That's not happening in here. I'm telling you, there's a lot of moving parts to make a bill go through the House. A big, important bill like this. It requires staff. It requires legislative councils to do. They're not going to be there. Come Monday, they're not here. Those guys, man, they're not working through Christmas holidays. They're not scheduled to work. They can't be commanded to work. These guys have unions and contracts and shit. You won't have the ability to pass legislation, not new legislation. You could pass the legislation that we had prepared because it had already been scrubbed by legislative council and already presented as a bill, you understand, so you could move it quickly through the Rules Committee and bring it to the floor for a simple majority vote. But if my own colleagues would not support the bill, then, let me say many of my colleagues would support that bill. But if no Democrats are going to support it, and even a handful of Republicans say no, which is what I was told tonight, then it's not happening. So we're headed towards a government shutdown that will likely last till January the 3rd, or our speaker has to make a deal with Democrats, because the Senate is passing a bill tomorrow. They're going to send it to us. So Speaker Johnson is going to be left with a hell of a decision. Does he allow the government to remain closed because you can't get a conservative bill? Let me tell you, my bill was an excellent bill. It was better than the bill that I voted yes on tonight. It was a little more conservative because the pay-go section was still in it, and my CR was super conservative, scrubbed by my office, Freedom Caucus, Heritage, the president's guy, Rush Vaught. But if we can't, when you have a majority of like one, you need unanimous support for a bill to bring it, to make it through the House floor. If no Democrats are going to support it, you need 100% of your Republicans to support it. And I'm telling you, it's not happening. Just in the room where I met tonight with 15 or so of the most conservative members of Congress, there was enough rejection in that room that the bill, we don't have the votes. So Speaker Johnson can be left with a hell of a thing, man. And he'll be crucified no matter what he does. If he allows the government to stay shut down, wait till people start getting their heads wrapped around what that means over the Christmas holidays. You're not talking about no weekend shutdown here. You're talking about shutdown till January the 3rd at the earliest. Then you come in January 3rd and Speaker Johnson's crucified, so you're in a speaker battle. So you don't have a speaker. And then we have constitutional obligations to perform on January 6th to count the electoral slates of the certified election certificates presented to elect the President of the United States. It's a very, very important day with a constitutional obligation. We could find ourselves in a shutdown with no speaker on January 6th. You know? I mean, what are you going to do? I'm one guy up here. Anyway, America, this was a long update, but you deserve like a straight shot on what really the hell is happening up here. And like, don't believe everything you see and read, and you if you have questions, call my office. You'll get the precise truth of what's happening in your capital. So I love you, and I'm honored to serve you. I'm tired. I'm a little pissed off, and I'm sad, about this, but I'm determined to just stay in this fight for you. And my wife Beck and I, we wish you a blessed and Merry Christmas. The Lord will illuminate the path out of here, but I'm going to tell you, it's been a struggle of a week, and it was a bad week for America. So I'm sorry for that failure. I'm sorry for that failure. We can do better. Love you, America. I'll have a fresh perspective maybe tomorrow. Maybe there's a way out of this that I haven't seen quite yet, but I'll keep you posted. Merry Christmas. Oh.